Let me show you today an inexpensive, easy palette setup for an acrylic portrait artist. I am mattphilleo and thank you for joining me here in my studio. Today I just want to show you how you can set up a palette that'll save you time and money, and it'll be really easy to actually use. This is my palette setup here, and this palette actually is very much in use. What I'm going to show you today is how I discard this setup and set it up again. So what I have here actually is a palette that I bought, and it was just a conventional wooden palette that I attached a lip to, and that lip is actually just made out of cardboard, and I glued it to that and then covered this with aluminum foil. So I want to show you the palette in its messy state, being all well used, and then I want to show you the palette as I set it up afresh. So when the palette is in this state, I have several sheets, as you can see, of aluminum foil on top of each other. And so what I have is one main sheet of foil, and it's attached to the back just with regular packaging tape, clear packaging tape. And then what I do is, and I'll show you that again after I set this up afresh, I just lay that out flat and I arrange all my colors on there. And as the first area gets soiled with color, and you can see that right here, the all the different colors I mixed, then I'll put a fresh piece of foil on top of that, and that's just regular old aluminum foil, nothing fancy. Get this at any department store. I'll just lay out a sheet and I'll pull it out, and I'll actually set it down on the palette. Now this can all be removed. This is a huge layer, several layers of aluminum foil with paint on top of it. And what's nice about this is that you can just discard this in a bag. It's going to get a little messy on your hands, that's the only thing. But you can actually then take this aluminum foil, and it has quite a bit of weight. Now I don't know how it works in your area where you live, but where I live, I actually can add this to my aluminum cans. And I used to work at a recycling center, so it would sometimes be considered old sheet aluminum in a little different category. But when I take this to the local recycling center, they'll pay me 40, 45, 50 cents, whatever it's going for a pound. And so I actually can make some money back on this and then reinvest that into more aluminum foil. So, I'm benefiting the environment by recycling, and I'm also getting a little money back to, keep investing into my art supplies. So it's a nice way to go. And what's interesting too is that paint does add a little weight to the aluminum, but I guess that's good for us. It's beneficial for us. They might lose a little bit on it, but they're willing to take it, so that's fine. So this is what the palette looks like, without that extra foil on it. And then, when I'm ready to dismantle this, and the reason I say I'm going to dismantle this is because this paint's getting kind of old and dried up. Now, this paint here literally can last for weeks. If I keep spraying it with my little mister, just a pump spray bottle, nothing fancy. You can buy these, at Home, well, not Home Depot, but Hobby Lobby, pretty inexpensively. But you would just spray your palette, to keep it wet, and then you put it in a container. Put it in a container. I'm just going to show that to you when not in use. And this is the container I store my palette in. So I have this big Sterilite container here. And when the palette's not in use, I just set it in the container. And then if I want to keep it extra moist, I can actually have a little condiment container like this, and I can mist a little piece of towel with water, set it in there, and that'll add some extra moisture. If you're concerned about mold or mildew, you can add rubbing alcohol or a little bleach to that water, and that'll keep that from growing on there. But again, then I just close up the container like this and set that away, and yeah, I can keep my paint moist for weeks. But anyway, once the palette does get kind of tacky, you know, the paint gets kind of tacky, then it is time to replenish the aluminum foil and start from scratch again. And so that's what I'm going to do, and just show you that. So it does get a little messy. I'm not afraid of getting a little paint on my hands, but if you are, you can always wear gloves during this process. You know, we're artists, right? We're not afraid of getting paint on our hands. So you can just kind of tear this off however you need to do it, and get out your waste bag so you can put the foil in there. And this is the part that's a little bit tricky, just because that paint does kind of add a lot of weight, and it's still somewhat wet. Some of it's more tacky than other parts. Just going to set that in my bag. Now we have this part right here, and I just tear this off the bottom side. And again, this is just attached with packaging tape. You know, that's the best way to do it, so that's pretty inexpensive. And aluminum foil, that is so inexpensive. I mean, you get a whole... I try to buy it in the largest size I can. You know, like this one here is, you know, 200 square feet. And it's lasted me, oh boy, I don't know, a couple months. And it cost just a few dollars. So to me, that is pretty inexpensive. So now you can see what my palette looks like with just the, you know, just the, without the foil on it. And anyway, so yeah, so the palette without the foil on it, and you can see I did have some paint on there, you know, from when I didn't have aluminum foil on there. But basically all this is it's just, it is a wooden palette that I purchased at you know, Michael's. You could get it at any art supply store. The wood has started to warp a little bit over time, but it doesn't matter that it's bent a little bit. It's still very functional. And then, like I said, I did put a lip over the edge just because I use matte medium, and that matte medium can start to drip off if you have just the palette without this little lip on the edge. And so I just took some chipboard, you know, just tag board, and glued it to the edge. You can kind of see this side here, how it looked. And then I did actually paint the palette with, I think it was Zinsser Primer Sealer, and, you know, painted the tag board, chipboard as well, because if you don't do that, the moisture is going to affect it. So just to keep that from getting too mushy, I did, like I say, end up painting over all of that as well. So I painted over the palette with a primer, painted over the chipboard with a primer, and this was just glued on, by the way. So that is my palette. You can see I have a little lip right here. Here, let me show it to you here, just to keep the matte medium from dripping that way over the thumb hole. Alright, so now I'm going to show you how I set it up. Now, if you can see this here, I take my aluminum foil and basically just tear off a piece that's a little bit longer, than the entire palette. I'm going to use the glossy side. That tends to work better when you use the glossy side. So I just tear off a piece that's longer than the entire palette, and we just fold it over and get it right up to the edge of the lip. Just going to tear off a little piece here. Now, once this is set up like that, then let's see, where do I have my tape? Okay. Now I'm just going to tape this down on the palette itself first. Looks like I got to get some more tape. Ran out there. Okay, got some more tape, and we're going to tape down this first edge right here. Okay, so just along the edge. Then I'm going to flip it on its back, and I'm going to tape down. I'm going to tape down the actual edges of the foil. It doesn't have to be pretty on the back side. It's just got to work. So just taping this down. Try to get it so that we have enough to actually, conform this foil to that lip. So you need to leave a little slack so you can do that. So don't pull it too tight on there. Now, I should have enough that I can kind of conform that to the edge. Maybe just one little piece right here. Alright, and so the next step then is to cover the bottom portion. Flip it over. It's on the glossy side. This is getting towards the end of the roll, so it's a little bit grooved. Now, what I do then is I just tear off this portion here so that the thumb hole is exposed. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to tape this to the top. It's overlapping. So we just have that first part, and then the second part is overlapping. And that's all there is to that. Now I'm just going to turn this around, and I'm going to conform the foil to the edge of that lip, again, so that the matte medium doesn't drip off the edge of my palette. And I'm going to fold this over on the opposite side, and we'll tape that down. Okay, we'll just tape this over the edge. Oops. There we go. And that's enough to hold it. And then should have enough slack too that I still have that lip there. Yeah, maybe just put a little more tape along the edge here, especially on this portion where my actual paints will be, my colors. Alright, and then I'm just going to actually tear this a little bit more so the thumb hole is exposed just a bit more. And then what I'll do is you can see this, I'm going to tape this edge right here. Just like that, we'll tape that down. So, hopefully the camera caught all of this, but that's how you set it up. So we have, again, This top portion here taped over, and then the other portion was taped onto the pallet itself. We have everything taped onto the back, and then we have this area of the foil torn off for the thumb hole, and the lip and everything is there. Everything's conformed to the edge there of the lip. And then just lastly, I think I could have one little piece of tape right up here just to hold that part better. But then that's how you set it up. And now that it's set up, you'd go ahead and put all your colors down, and that's all there is to it. I think in another video I'll show you the actual colors that I use for my typical palette, but I just wanted to show you how I set up the actual palette itself. And yeah, this is a fantastic way to save money. It's very easy. So one of the benefits of using this kind of a palette setup is that when your area of colors gets saturated, then all you would have to do is just tear off a piece of foil again, and you would go ahead and you would set it down on top of the mixing area. You'd still have all of your colors showing here. All of your colors will be there, but you'd set this down on top of the mixing area, and because of the previous paint that's down here on the mixing area, that will cause the aluminum foil to stick, so it'll actually be held in place by the previous layer. And then when this gets soiled, you can go ahead and put another layer on top of this, and then another layer and another layer, till you have maybe 4 to 5 layers, and then you can pull that off and you can start the process over again. And you would keep doing that then until your whole area of paint, like I showed you at the beginning of the video, is all kind of tacky and it's time to create the palette over again. Either your paint is tacky, or the colors are just really mixed. They're not separate like they should be, but there's a lot of different colors mixed within them and they would get muddy. That would be the time then to go ahead and put down some fresh colors too. But anyway, I hope this helps. This is going to help you save a lot of paint. It's going to allow you to keep on using your colors without having to redo a new palette every time. So it should save you paint, should save you money, and it's just a heck of a lot easier than trying to prepare a palette again in the middle of your painting process. With this, then you can just keep on painting and keep on painting for several hours at a time. So if you found this video helpful, this tip helpful on how to create your own aluminum foil covered palette, that's what I'm going to call it right now. I don't have a fancy name for it. But if you found this tip helpful, give this video a thumbs up and leave me a comment. Let me know if you have questions on how to use this, and share it with your friends. And then also to let you know, you can find more tutorials on portrait painting, specifically acrylic portrait painting, at Realistic Acrylic Portrait School, and that's realisticacrylic.com. So go there and visit and watch all of my tutorials, read my tutorials. Be happy to answer any questions you have and help you in your journey as a portrait artist. So God bless you, have a fantastic day, and we'll talk to you soon.